I have two sons, mid-teen and younger teen, with my ex-wife. Our marriage reached a bitter end when I learned she'd remained married to me for over 3 years, so I would support her through returning to school so she could switch careers to an even better paying one, despite her old one paying as much as mine. For years I tried like heck to save our marriage because I felt it fractured. She played along until she got what she wanted, and then she was honest that she'd never wanted to save our marriage and had been over me for years. When we divorced, custody was set to 50-50 of our boys, and she was ordered to pay child support to me because she was making so much more after she changed her career and education. She remarried a year after our divorce and had more children. After the birth of her last child 4 years ago, things got bad. First, her husband was diagnosed with cancer, then one of her kids got diagnosed with a long-term medical condition, then the global issue impacted her job. Our boys would tell me how rough things were at their moms and how they wanted to live more with me, so I went to court and the judge moved her down to every other weekend and changed the child support order to reflect her decrease in custody. Recently, she had to move into a smaller house because of how badly they were struggling, and then she came to me for help after the courts refused to end the child support payments. She told me I needed to help her and that I should be helping to take care of my boy's family, and that's what she and her family are. I told her she used me for 3 damn years so she could survive off my money. She did not get to ask me for more to support a family that is not my own. She called me a selfish idiot, told me her family is living off charity and they could be so much better off if I helped them. I asked her why I was supposed to care. She told me she wished she had cheated while we were together and that using me for money wasn't enough. Again, she told me about her family and how they would starve. I told her I didn't care if they did or not. None of them is my problem and I only care about my kids. She called me an idiot. Her husband sent me a text that night saying I was a cruel idiot and he hoped the boys would hate me when they realized I wanted their whole family to suffer. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, and I love the karma. She used you, then left and ended up having to pay you child support because she makes more. Make sure your kids don't have the money you give them stolen by your idiot ex-wife and husband, and they don't brainwash them. Is she actually destitute? Doesn't sound like she is. She moved into a smaller house. That's still a house. It's not a shelter, not even an apartment. Are they on food stamps? I'm getting the sense she's having a hard time adjusting to life on a more modest income, but not that she's totally broke. You also know she has a history of manipulating money out of you. I'd leave this up to the courts. Shouldn't the court lower her child support payments if she was really broke? I agree, if she were really destitute, then the courts would have adjusted the child support payments accordingly. OP, you both moved on, she's going through a rough patch, but that's her life. She used you and is emotionally blackmailing you into being an ATM all over again, especially after using you as a cash machine to get ahead in life. She made you a stepping stone for her career, so you don't really owe her anything. Call her a deadbeat mom. Obviously, she made really poor decisions for herself, and you have nothing to do with it. Take the kids and give her room to work out her predicament. Yeah, how does someone just randomly decide someone else is responsible for them? Crazy. Make sure you have a high-level conversation with your boys so that they're prepared for your ex and her husband to try to paint you as the root of all evil when they go over there. Keep all communications written so that they can be presented in court. She's allowing a man with no relationship with your children to threaten your relationship with your children. I'd go back to court and push for full custody. Good luck to you and your kids. My husband and I have been married for about a year. We have 2 kids, Ella, teen, who's my daughter from a previous marriage, and Anya, younger teen, who's his daughter. We have 50-50 custody of both girls, but the custody plan is in a way that each week we have one of the girls and we usually don't have them at the same time, which I think is a good thing. Anya skipped a grade, so she's in the same class as Ella. A few days before Christmas, Ella came back home crying. She told me that Anya and her friends had been making fun of her. This is not the first time she's bullied my daughter. She mocked her for being fat, she's just a little overweight, and made fun of her for not having any friends. When I heard the whole story of what happened, I was so mad. My father-in-law has been planning a trip for the entire family, completely paid for, and even though Anya wasn't supposed to be with us that week, she was invited. I decided I didn't want her to be anywhere around Ella, so I called father-in-law, explained everything to him, and asked him to uninvite Anya. He basically told me that if we have a problem with his granddaughter, we can skip the trip, and didn't listen to anything else I said. I waited for my husband to come back home and told him everything. He said he'll handle it. I asked him if that meant Anya was uninvited and he said no, but he would find an appropriate punishment. I was fuming. I made a Facebook post explaining what had happened and said if Anya went then Ella and I wouldn't be going. My sister-in-law messaged me and called me an idiot and told me to delete my post and said I'm delusional if I think they'll uninvite their niece so that two strangers would join the trip. We didn't go. I'm so angry that I'm still seeing red. Am I an idiot for expecting them to uninvite her? You are the idiot. This isn't your vacation. Your father-in-law can invite who he wants, and he's inviting all of his grandchildren. Also, why to make it about you and put it on Facebook? And what a way to make sure the girls never get along. I don't understand not having them at the same time either. I'm not condoning your stepdaughter's bullying. That is a separate issue that your husband needs to deal with. You can't expect your father-in-law to not invite his grandkid to a trip he planned. You've taken this too far by posting this on social media. Why did you even do that? That's such an immature thing to do. You haven't even been married into this family for a year. He barely knows you and probably your daughter is a virtual stranger to him. He is not going to, nor should he be expected to, prioritize you over his grandchild, whom he's known for her whole life. Get over yourself. Yep, don't put family drama on social media. It's so bizarre that OP thinks it's solely up to her to decide how Anya is punished, but absolutely baffling to me that she thinks she can dictate who someone else invites on their vacation. Wouldn't surprise me if she bullied Anya when around and Anya bullied the other one in retaliation. You say we have two kids, but from what you write it sounds like you and your husband have one kid, your bio daughter. Your husband has a kid who you tolerate and refuse to parent at best, but also who you actively bully, exclude and publicly humiliate on occasion. You're not just a bad parent, you're an abusive one. You are the idiot and I hope your husband gets you out of his daughter's life ASAP before you do any more damage. My husband and I are expecting. This is our first baby and we're excited. The thing is, he barely attends any doctor appointments with me and his excuses aren't even valid. He's willing to miss the doctor appointment over soccer or a drink or board game with friends. His response is always, I'm not the one carrying the baby, why do I have to go and see the doctor with you? Last week was my final straw. He was supposed to come with me for the baby's gender reveal appointment, but he chose not to come at the last minute because his friend invited him to a fish and chips meal. I was pretty livid but didn't make a fuss about it, so Mom went with me instead. He texted asking me to tell him the results, boy or girl, but I refused to tell him. He kept spam calling me, but I hung up each time. He came home fuming, demanding I tell him the results, but I refused and bluntly told him since he refused to attend the appointment, then he would get no results till after the baby's born, and said I was willing to die on this hill. He went off calling me spiteful and immature for doing this, and punishing him. He said he's the father and has the right to know. He then called me dramatic since I wasn't alone and Mom was with me. I said he gets no results, period. He's been fuming about it and told his family, and they're now pressuring me to stop playing mind games with him and tell him, but I declined. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Already a deadbeat dad before the baby is even born. If I chose to hang out with friends instead of going to my wife's doctor's appointment with her for our kids, I'd expect every one of my friends there to make me feel bad about myself. Anyone that surrounds themselves with friends that are fine with this doesn't deserve to be involved. Honestly, not sure why you're all together. If he doesn't care about literally one of the most important things you'll ever do together, I'm not entirely sure what he's bringing to the table. Agreed. I'd drop a friend if I found out they prioritised fish and chips over their wife and baby's doctor appointment. It's not the baby that needs him at those appointments, it's OP. No matter how good a dad he turns out to be, he's failed as a husband already. He's basically saying, I don't see any point in supporting you when I could be eating fried fish with people I do enjoy. OP, lose this idiot. If he's telling you, I'm not carrying the baby, why do I have to go to the doctor with you? That's going to turn into, I didn't push out that baby, why should I look after it? Real quick. Yeah, this is a guy who's going to insist, I can't breastfeed anyway, so I can't take care of the baby. Why are you mad that I went drinking with my friends? And this type of guy always insists on naming the baby after themselves. Sorry, OP, life is going to be hard. My ex-husband was cheating on me during my entire pregnancy and treated me exactly like OP's husband is treating her. I'm not saying this is what OP's husband is doing, but it's worth looking into because he's engaging in abnormal behaviour. I only mention this because the baby is a new mother's first concern, and STIs can harm an unborn baby. Update. I just wanted to mention that my husband just attempted to contact my doctor to get the results. It didn't go well and we had another argument over it. He couldn't get it since his mum was the one who made the call. My husband, 44, and I, 43 female, have 2 kids. Both left for college and one is in law school now, so we're empty nesters. I love it. I get to go wherever, whenever. Right now I'm skiing a lot and we take lots of vacations. I'm planning on retiring in a few years. We invested smartly and now our home is paid off and my kids are getting a full ride in school. We can retire without much worry, although we will still work until the economy is better and our bodies allow us to. The problem is my husband is now bored and wants to foster a child. I'm absolutely against the idea. My cousin did foster a child for 3 years. She's infertile and decided she wanted to foster as a way to have a child in her life. But that child was a complete nightmare and almost made her and her husband divorce over it because it caused so many issues. I know that not all foster children are like that, but my cousin is far more compassionate, she's a nurse, than me, and she was crying to my sister and me every day about it, and I didn't want to do it. It's hard to tell what a child has gone through and it's usually nothing good if they need to be fostered. I don't have the energy to deal with it anymore. I raise my son and daughter and unless they need me I will finish my last years of work and then retire and enjoy my quiet years. My husband constantly badgers me to reconsider and I've told him I'm not going to. He argued it would be like having a child again and I told him I didn't want that. I told him to find a volunteer position at a school or go down to the children's wing of his hospital. He is a doctor if he wanted to spend time with children. He also works outside the home while I have a hybrid job, 3 days in the office, 2 days at home, so I feel like any foster child will just become my responsibility. But he's constantly complaining that I'm not being compassionate and that we could improve a child's life. But I know it will probably change my life for the worse. Still, am I the idiot for refusing to sign up to be a foster? Not the idiot. Also, was your husband a fun dad who basically got to be the cool guy while you did all the work actually raising the kids? Because children are work and only a dad who only ever babysat could act like having the responsibility to care for a child again 20 years later would be no big deal and a fun adventure. I'm also going to bet you did the bulk of raising your children while he worked long and odd hours the way most doctors do. You've paid your dues and deserve your time off from parenting. Yes, it's never done even once they move out, but you know what I mean. I don't know much about it, but I'm assuming the foster agency would decline you anyway as you're not on board. Your husband doesn't need a new child. I think he just needs a dog or a cat at this point. He doesn't seem to understand all the work you've done for your previous children. You say it yourself, you love kids but not anymore. Get some peace and have fun with your life. You have the right to listen to your gut feeling, and if your husband still wants a baby, he should work in a kindergarten. Maybe he'll understand what taking care of a baby really means. My teen male mom died when I was 7. My dad married Jane when I was 10. Jane has a daughter Lucy, teen female, and Lucy's father was never in the picture. Jane married a dude and Lucy called him Dad, but he abandoned her after 6 years. Even still, Lucy was way happier about their marriage than I was. For me, it was tough to see my dad find someone else because it was hard for me to wrap my brain around him wanting another wife when I didn't want another mom or mom figure. I never made a big deal out of it, but this wasn't the happily ever after for me. It was for Lucy, who wanted another dad. My dad and Jane realised it was tough for me and put me in therapy, where I still go today. We also had family therapy a year into their marriage, where we had to be open about our feelings. I was honest to a point. I said it was hard for me to see it as a happy thing and that it would never be the same to me or what I truly wanted, but it was nice to see Dad happy and Jane and Lucy were fine. Lucy latched onto everything I said, including when I brought up in therapy that I didn't want Jane to try and be my mom or for anyone to think I had 2 moms. She would tell me that she was glad she had another dad and how nice it is to have a whole family and stuff. She became insufferable when we were 12 and Dad and Jane had a baby together. She'd say how we were all brought together by our half-brother, and she told me how her mom has now given me 2 siblings and that should be enough for her to count as a mom now. I told Jane about it and she told me she talked to Lucy but she never did. I talked to Dad when it continued. He told me Lucy didn't mean any harm and that I should take it as an honour that she feels the way she does, because so many kids would be totally against sharing their parents like she's willing to. He told me if she ever gets dismissive of my mom's death, then it would deserve a talking to. Time passed and things got easier, but it's still not the same for me as it is for Lucy. Last week, Lucy started to say embracing my dad as her own was for the best and that I should do the same with her mom. She said our experiences leading to becoming a family were the same, and she knew what she was talking about. I didn't like when she said that, and I told her it wasn't the same because my mom had died, and I will never get to see or speak to her again. She insisted it was no different from her. I told her it was, and we'd never understand how the other felt. She got upset with me and said it should be easier for me and that I can't hold on to my mom forever, and I need to let go of her like she let go of her first dad because they're both gone and we're better for it. I got so mad and yelled at her to leave me the heck alone. She burst into tears. My dad told me he would talk to Lucy when I explained what happened, but Jane was angry and so was Lucy, and they said I had no right to yell at her the way I did. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. How dare she compare a set of deadbeat father figures who abandoned her to a mother who passed away and would have given anything to still be with you and raise you. I really hope your dad does talk to her about how this is not the same thing and how you should never let go of your mom. I also hope he speaks to your stepmom too. Yes, she warranted being shouted at because her mom clearly wasn't going to tell her she was out of line, and up to that point, neither was your dad. I need to let go of her like she let go of her first dad because they're both gone and we're better for it. Okay, that made my eyes widen. Yikes. It never ceases to amaze me how people will constantly poke the bear and then get shocked when they get snapped at. Lucy seems to have no sense of boundaries. Talk to your therapist one-on-one. Maybe your therapist can talk some sense into your dad and stepmom and tell them that Lucy needs therapy. She seems to have some sort of attachment disorder, possibly due to abandonment issues. I'm so sorry you have to deal with this.